ما أشهدتهم خلق السماوات والأرض ولا خلق أنفسهم وما كنت متخذ المضلين عضدا ويوم يقول نادوا شركائي الذين زعمتم فدعوهم فلم يستجيبوا لهم وجعلنا بينهم موبقا ورأى المجرمون النار فظنوا أنهم مواقعوها ولم يجدوا عنها مصرفا ولقد صرفنا في هذا القرآن للناس من كل مثل وكان الإنسان أكثر شيء جدلا. Go ahead.
I did not make them witness to the creation of the heavens and earth, nor to their own creation. I do not take as my supporters those who lead others astray. On the day, God will say, call on those you claimed were my partners. They will call them, but they will not answer. We shall set a deadly gulf between them. The evildoers will see the fire and will realize that they are about to fall into it. They will find no escape from it. In this Quran, we have presented every kind of illustration for people, but man is more contentious than any other creature.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walahu ba'd. As you might remember last week, we were talking about the verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us the story of the creation of Adam alayhi salam. And the story of Adam and Iblis and the shaitan. And we talked about the difference between the sin of Adam and the sin of the shaitan. We talked about how human being ending up taking a shaitan as partner, as wali, as a friend, as someone that they turn to instead of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every time they disobey Allah azza wa jalla. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after He mentioned the creation of Adam and the story of the beginning of humanity, Adam is not the universe. صح? Adam ليس هو العالم. There is other things also been created before Adam, which is heavens and earth. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as He told us a little bit about the history of His creation, we only know a little bit about the things that Allah created. We don't even know everything that Allah have made, everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. So here He is saying, مَا أَشْهَدْتُهُمْ خَلْقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. You did not witness, you were not there witnessing, nor helped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when He created what? The heavens and the earth. And remember, these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressing who? Primarily, the disbelievers, those who don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The disbelievers, they have other deities that they worship, that they depend on, that's right? That they love, they trust, they seek help from it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I have not made any one of you, nor your deities, nor the gods that you believe in, nor the gods that you claim as partner with me, none of you all have witnessed the creations of the heaven and earth. And that's why there is another qira'ah Abu Ja'far, he said, مَا أَشْهَدْتُهُمْ لَا مَا أَشْهَدْنَاهُمْ خَلْقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. We have not made them witness the creation of the heavens and the earth. And al-ulama rahimahumullah said, then referring to, some said ash-shaytan and his followers, the disbelievers, some said the angels, some said the people of Mecca. And what it seems to be that all the creation of everyone can be included in that. And that shows you that no one ever helped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in planning and making the heavens and the earth. هذا إنما يظهر كمال غناه. That will shows you what? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one who created the heavens and the earth and universe. He didn't need any help, nor he didn't need anyone to help him in planning, executing, making. He had the perfect knowledge, the perfect power, and ability to make this universe. So if this is the case, that shows you that those you are worshipping beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do not have the power, do not have the abilities that made them gods. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in many verses in the Quran, He makes this case very clear. For instance, in Surah Saba, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, verse 23, قُلُ ادْعُوا الَّذِينَ زَعَمْتُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Call upon those who you claim as partner other than Allah. لا يملكون مثقال ذرة في السماوات والأرض. They do not own, they don't possess. لا يملكون مثقال ذرة. They do not own even as much as ذرة. What is the ذرة? The smallest thing. Al-ulama said like the size of the head of an ant. The smallest things, they do not own it. Everything that's been created by Allah, owned by Allah. Tell me one thing that you own. Your deeds. What else? One thing that you own. Your stores. What else you own? Your soul. What is you own? Whatever you want in your life. Clothes. All this, the reality that it is owned by Allah, not by you. He's the one who made it happen to you, and to prove that, He can take it away from you anytime. He can destroy it anytime, can take it away from even your own soul. You don't have a control over it. He give it to you and He can take it. So that means you don't really own it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that everything in this universe is owned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also other than Allah, لا يملكون مثقال ذرة. They do not own anything in this universe. وما لهم فيها من شرك وما له منهم من ظهير. Nor they own, nor they have sharaka, partnership with Allah. Because you might not own it solely, but you're a partner with Allah. Yani me and Allah together on this. No. The Prophet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, none of these deities, none of these gods that people pray to other than Allah own anything, nor they have a partnership with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any level, in any shape, in any form. وَمَا لَهُم مِّنْهُم مِّن ظَهِيرٍ. And Allah doesn't need any one of them to help Him to run the universe. So Allah here negate how many things? 3 in this verse. That they don't own anything, they do not have a partnership, they don't have the ability to help or to support, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no need for them. Not only that, He said even more further, He said, وَلَا تَنْفَعُ الشَّفَاعَةُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا لِمَنْ أَذِنَ لَهُ. They don't even intercede. If this is the case, if these deities, if these things that you pray to other than Allah, you turn to it to other than Allah, they don't own, they don't have a partnership, they cannot help, and even they cannot intercede for you, why do you pray to them? Why would you turn to them? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here in this verse, He said, وَلَا خَلْقَ أَنفُسِهِمْ. And I did not make them witness how themselves they've been created. They were not there where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had created Adam alayhi salam. And here again He's speaking to the humans. Then He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after that, وَمَا كُنْتُ مُتَّخِذَ الْمُضِلِّينَ عَضُدًا. Yes, salam. And I will not take al-mudillin. I will not take al-mudillin. Yani, al-mudillin, it means the people who misleaders as helpers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not take al-mudillin, which is the shaitan and his followers, as helpers. So Allah telling the kuffar, there is no point for you to go astray or to follow the shaitan's path, because ash-shaitan and his followers is never someone that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will turn to or who need as helpers. Aduda, yani a'wana, as Imam Malik rahimahullah said. So this verse is meant to confront the disbelievers and to make them realize that their deities will not help them in any shape, in any form. And how can we make this relate to us today? There's nobody who worship idols among us, but around us there is a lot of people still worship idols. Oh my God, just look around. There's a lot of people still turn to an idols and they worship it and they believe in it. There's a lot of people who worship humans. There's a lot of people who worship other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This form of shirk still exists, and this kind of argument is a very strong argument. That's why the ulama rahimahumullah, when they said, and he talked about, for example, those who worship Jesus other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, beside Allah, and believe Jesus is God. The same question will be raised. Did he own anything in this universe? Did he create anything in the universe? Does he have any partnership in the universe? If he did not, he's not the God. The God is the one who created him and created the universe. The God is the creator, is the owner, not any other, not any one of his creations. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in no need of partners. He doesn't need a son. He doesn't need to forgive, to have a son. He doesn't need to make things to have a helper or aid. So this verse can be used even in our days when we deal with any form of shirk that exists today. Add to this also verse can be very good, something to reflect upon in our life as a Muslims, because Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu does this a lot. He look at the verses that speak about the kuffar and he applied to the Muslims. And a lot of people said, oh, this is takfir. There's no takfir in it. We're not saying that the person is kafir, but Ibn Mas'ud was trying to say, do not adopt the quality of the mushrikeen. That's why when Allah said, وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ, I'm not among the mushrikeen. No, it doesn't mean, I'm not going to worship other than Allah. No, I'm not in the mushrikeen in their worship, and I'm not like al-mushrikeen in their attitude, in their qualities, in the way they behave. That's what it means. So you're not allowed to be like the mushrikeen and the disbelievers in any shape or any form. So here we say that one of the things that we should to say to ourselves, that anything that today people take as a way of life, as a guidance for them to survive in this dunya, keep to yourself and say, whoever came up with that guidance, whoever come up with that law to organize your personal life, claiming that it is better than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given us in this beautiful book, remember that those people, they did not witness the creation of the heavens and the earth. They did not even witness their own creation. To know what is good for you, to know what is really going to heal you, what is really going to protect you. Remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not take al-mudallina aduda. Allah will not take the misleader helpers. Allah will not take the misleader helper to help guide humanity when it comes to the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here again, as I said earlier, this is one of the things about the Quran, move you from one place to another, from one time to another. So here he talked about, I have not made them witness the creation, the beginning. Then the next verse he said, وَيَوْمَ يَقُولُ نَادُوا شُرَكَائِيَ الَّذِينَ زَعَمْتُمْ فَدَعَوْهُمْ فَلَمْ يَسْتَجِيبُوا لَهُمْ وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ مَوْبِقًا. And remember the day when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, call those partners. ادعوا شركاء. ويوم يقول نادوا شركاؤكم. The word is call upon. The word nida في القرآن, and nida في القرآن, it means you call upon someone with loud voice. Okay? The word nada in Quran means you call upon someone with loud voice. So that means you're screaming. Either because their partners are very far away from them, they can't hear them, or because they are very desperate, so they call, they want to sort of save themselves, so they scream upon these deities and partners that they took with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's like you see when you're a problem and you see someone that you thought he's going to help you, hey, and you're just screaming, help me. So the word is very, it gives you that feeling. You literally hear them screaming upon them in the day of judgment, or in the hellfire, or in the hellfire. That question, you might say, how people will, what will happen with the people who will have partners with Allah, but those partners are not bad things, yani Jesus, or somebody worship Muhammad, or someone worshiped one of the righteous people who passed away. Somebody worshipped jinn, one jinn is Muslim. What would happen to these deities? Isn't they claim them partners? They will see their images, but they will not see them. So they see an image of so-called Jesus, an image of that shrine, an image of that claim that is Muhammad, an image of so-and-so called Ali ibn Abi Talib, anything that they used to worship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these images. So they scream and they call upon them. And see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Ud'u shuraka'ukum," call upon your partners that you claim them partners. They will not answer your call. Al-ulama rahimahullah qalu, Allah called them partners, shuraka'ukum, your partners, not my partners. Those are the one that you have taken, you partner up with them by worshipping them. ادعوا شركاءكم الذين زعمتم فدعوهم فلم يستجيبوا لهم. Allah called them partner, mocking them. قال قدم وصف الشرك الشركاء على الزعم تهكما, that you claim, mocking them. And he said that you claim, زعمتم, you claim, it gives you indication that it means, or the word za'ama, it something means false. It's a falsehood. It's not true. That's why he said, you call them that way and they're not. فَدَعَوْهُمْ فَلَمْ يَسْتَجِيبُوا لَكُمْ فَدَعَوْهُمْ فَلَمْ يَسْتَجِيبُوا لَهُمْ. They call upon them, they beg them, but they did not respond to them. They did not respond to them by saving them, by even talking to them, by making promises to them, nothing. فَلَمْ يَسْتَجِيبُوا لَهُمْ بِشَيْءٍ. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah, لَهُ دَعْوَةُ الْحَقِّ وَالَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ لَا يَسْتَجِيبُونَ لَهُمْ بِشَيْءٍ. Those who you call upon other than Allah, they will never answer your call with anything except like this. إِلَّا كَبَاسِطِ كَفَّيْهِ إِلَى الْمَاءِ لِيَبْلُغَ فَاهُ. Except like someone opened his hand like this, and he put his hand inside the water and tried to drink. Can you dip your hand in the water, then you pull it out, and you try to drink? Does anything will remain? Nothing. That's how you are. You call upon them, and they will not respond to you with anything. وَمَا دُعَاءُ الْكَافِرِينَ إِلَّا فِي ضَلَالٍ. The dua of the kafirin is dalal, in vain. Will not help, will not benefit. And this is in Surah Al-Ra'd 14. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, after that, فَدَعَوْهُمْ فَلَمْ يَسْتَجِيبُوا لَهُمْ. So here, they call upon them, they scream, they beg them. They did not respond to them. Then Allah said, وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ مَوْبِقًا. He said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we shall put مَوْبِقًا between them. جَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ, يعني between the disbelievers and their deities. بين الشركاء والذين كانوا يعبدون بين الآلهة ومعبوداتها. Those who used to worship these deities and their deities, their idols, whatever they used to worship beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or it could be Allah have made a barrier or mawbiqa between the believers and the disbeliever at that time. So the disbeliever will be told them, hey, go with your partner together. And the believers, you stay together. And that would happen in the Day of Judgment. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that everybody used to worship something, he will see the image of it. And will follow it until these images fall in the hellfire, and the people will fall behind it. So that means they all will gather together. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make mawbiqa, which is a barrier between the disbelievers and the believers. That's one opinion. The other opinion said no. وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ مَوْبِقًا. We made a barrier between the disbelievers and the deities that they used to worship, the gods that they used to worship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is mawbiqa? Ibn Abbas rahimahullah ta'ala wa radiyallahu anhu said, mawbiqa mahlika, distractions. Something will made between them, what will bring death to them, what will destroy them. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As said, a valley in the hellfire, a very deep valley in the hellfire, that the people, the kuffar, cannot cross it. So they see their deities in the other side in the hellfire, and they want to go to them, but they can't because they see this huge, deep valley in between them. Al-Hasan al-Basri said, no. وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ مَوْبِقًا. We made between them mawbiqa, قال العداوة, hate and animosity. Hate. The disbeliever, when they see the deities and these gods and those who misled them, not helping them, they will hate them the most at this point. Al-Rabi' ibn Anas said, al-mahbis. It means between them that they were locked up. So the kuffar will be locked up in a place in hellfire, and they cannot reach out to these gods and talk to them. And the point is that there will be a separation or barrier between them and their gods and their deities, and they feel that there is no way they can benefit from them at all. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, what's the fact? The fact is this. And the mujrimeen, criminals, sinners, disbelievers, hypocrites, those mujrimeen, what will happen? وَرَأَ الْمُجْرِمُونَ النَّارِ, shall see the fire. And basically when they see it, they will realize that they are going to fall in it. And that support the idea that they will see their deities in the day of the land of resurrection. They see their images and they tried to reach them, they could not, and they basically ended up in the hellfire. Or maybe that barrier between them inside the hellfire, that valley. وَرَأَ الْمُجْرِمُونَ النَّارِ, that when they see it with their own eyes in the land of resurrection. Because my brothers and sisters, the hellfire will be seen by everyone on the Day of Judgment. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَجِيءَ يَوْمَئِذٍ بِجَهَنَّمٍ. That day, the hellfire will be brought near to people. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, it will be held by 70,000 robes, each robe held by 70,000 angels. Ibn Mas'ud said, these robes enticing the hellfire, because if they do not do that, the hellfire will jump into the land of resurrection and will swallow and take and pick every disbeliever from the face of the earth, or every sinner that is supposed to go to the hellfire. But they tied the hellfire, they hold it back, pull it back. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, when they see the hellfire, they know that they will fall in it. Why? Why they know that they will fall in the hellfire? They know that they belong to the hellfire because they found out that the deities that they worshipped are false. They found out that there is a day of judgment. They found out that there is a resurrection. They found out that the believers are calm. And so they understand the kufr that they did, the sin that they have made. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, also their books. Even before they take the books, they realize that. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا وَلَوْ أَلْقَى مَعَاذِيرًا. At that day, you know exactly what you deserve. وَلَمْ يَجِدُوا عَنْهَا مَصْرِفًا. And they will not find no way for escape from the hellfire. And no way to escape after they entered and before they entered. They found no way, because there is only two places to go to in Day of Judgment: Jannah or Nar. There is no option to go back to the dunya. There is no option to go back to the worldly life. It's either you go to the hellfire or you go to paradise. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said they have no place to go, no place to escape. Or maybe after they enter the hellfire and they experience it, they know that they can't get out, because إِنَّهَا عَلَيْهِمْ مُؤْصَدَةٌ. They will be locked inside the hellfire. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said after that, وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ مِنْ كُلِّ مَثَلٍ. And indeed, we have put forth every kind of example, illustrations in this Qur'an. So, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give many different kinds of illustrations, many different examples. هذا التنويع والتصريف. Why? Because people are different. So sometimes the Quran speak to your mind, sometimes speak to your heart, sometimes speak to you putting fear, sometimes putting hope, sometimes reminding you of the blessings of Allah, sometimes speak about things that is very materialistic, something you can touch, sometimes teach your soul, something very spiritual. So every person is different. And the Quran give you the worldly benefits, the hereafter, the benefits for you in the hereafter. So all these different things that the Quran explained to you and basically approach you with, it may create you or create inside you a sense of excitement. Al-Jannah. He didn't tell us about one thing in Jannah. For example, can you imagine, one day I was teaching about Al-Jannah and somebody was asking me, Sheikh, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speak about food in Jannah and talk? I don't like food. It's not like something excited me, there is food in Jannah. Who cares for food? I said, maybe you don't, other people do. Okay? You don't like food, other people like food. For them, this is a big deal. I respect food. Okay? I don't know about you, but I respect food. I like good food. I like good fruits. Somebody else speak about clothing and jewelry. Somebody else maybe get attracted the concept of that they will have servants. They'll be young. They will be healthy. There's many things. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned many things in the Quran, examples. Why? Because He wants to touch everybody's heart. And everybody has his own taste. وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ. It's reminding me of the verse when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, تَصْرِيفِ الرِّيَاحِ. Allah said about the wind, that they are not one type of wind. For some from the north, some from the south, some comes cold, some comes warm. These different type of wind that comes is the reason for making this earth full of life. And if the wind, why? Because if the wind doesn't move, or to move only in one direction, you will not have this environment that you have today. But these changes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it in the air, it the cause for rain, the cause for the movement of the clouds and basically the seasons to happen and so forth. The same thing with these different examples that Allah gives in the Quran. وَاضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَاضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ الرَّجُلَيْنِ. These examples, different examples that Allah gives in the Quran, these analogies, these things that make you think about the nature of your creation and the nature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His rights upon us, lead to guidance. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said after that, even though with all these different examples and illustrations that Allah have given to us to guide us in the Quran, He said, وَكَانَ الْإِنسَانُ أَكْثَرَ شَيْءٍ جَدَلًا. A human being is basically, a man is ever more, he is, how can I put it? He is the most argumentative creation, or he loves to argue. So, because of your nature as a human being that you love to argue, you love to think, you love to analyze, you love to question things, so Allah give you so many examples to choose from, so many different ways. So no matter how much, if you start thinking and using really your logic and your aql, and you start thinking about it, analyze it, you will arrive to the conclusion, which is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your Lord and the one that you should submit yourself to. And His religion is the best sharia, the best guidance for you to follow. Al-ulama rahimahullah said, is this appraising or not? When he said, and the human being, the most argumentative creature. Is that appraising or criticism? Is that a good or bad? Some ulama said actually said that this verse in particular referring to the kuffar who keep arguing with the Prophet ﷺ. In particular, they said it's related to An-Nadr ibn al-Harith when he started arguing about the Quran, Ubay ibn Khalaf. And what it seems to be that this verse not only related to these individuals, but to show the nature of the human beings. Because human beings like to argue, they just like to give up quickly. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his beloved daughter Fatima came to his house. But he wasn't there. Aisha, she was there. And she said, I want to talk to my father. I want to talk to my father about something. What do you want? She said, I need to talk to him. She said, he's not here, but I will let him know when he comes back. So in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he came late. So he went to his daughter's after Isha, and she was already went to bed with her husband. So in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, actually in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what he did, he went there before Fajr. He was told, and after Isha, you don't approach people. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said he will go to her in the morning and see what she wants. But before he went to the masjid, see how much he loves his daughter. Before he went to the masjid for Fajr prayer, he went to his daughter's house to talk to her. You might say, Sheikh, but isn't that also late? It's not Fajr yet. But the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam expected them to make a qiyam al-layl, to be praying in the night. That's the expected. So he found them asleep. So when the Prophet ﷺ came to them, she got shy and she covered herself, because as you assume that in the old days during the Prophet ﷺ time, they don't have that concept that we have called pajamas. You only have one set of clothes. Most likely people, when they go to bed, they are naked. They don't have clothes on. They take their clothes off and they just cover themselves, and that's how they sleep. So she felt shy, her and her husband next to each other. It's kind of shy. And she covers. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told her that if you, when I brought you, she told him that she was looking for a servant. Then in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, she said, I heard that you got some money and I would like you to get me a servant. Then in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam قال ما كان لمحمد, wouldn't be fit that Muhammad يعطي ابنته خادما ويترك أهل الصفة فقراء. Ya salam. Wouldn't be right for Muhammad to give his daughter a servant while we have poor people live in a sufa. The poor people who live in the back of the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wouldn't happen. If I have extra money, I'll give it to those poor people. But I can tell you something better than a servant. that when you go to your bed, you say Subhanallah 33 times, Alhamdulillah 33 times, Allahu Akbar 34 times. For both of you. Then the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, don't you pray before you Fajr? Then Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu said, Ya Rasulullah, we are humans. Our soul not in our hand. It's in the hand of Allah. Whenever He give it back to us when we sleep, we wake up. And if He didn't bring it back to us, we don't wake up. It's not my fault that I didn't wake up for prayer. Then in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he did like this. He hit his thigh and he left walking, angry, saying, وَكَانَ الْإِنسَانُ أَكْثَرَ شَيْءٍ جَدَلًا. Human beings love to argue. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is not accusing you with anything. He wants to encourage you. When he said, you don't pray, Subhanallah, you don't pray in the night. Subhanallah, the word, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he used it, he's not like us, we say Subhanallah for everything. No, he said, when he said Subhanallah, that means something made him angry, something not correct. So he said, Subhanallah, you don't pray in the night? So the Prophet ﷺ, what he was trying to encourage you, to show you that this is it's not the best thing. What's expected from Ali ibn Abi Talib and Fatima to Muhammad, that they make Qiyam al-Layl and they pray in the night, that's what they're expecting from them. He's not saying this for you to start arguing, saying, oh, I overslept and the soul in the hand of Allah. You don't do that with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You don't do that with the Sharia. You don't do that with someone who's giving you advice, with someone who wants good for you. So, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used this verse in relation to this incident. So that means this verse is not only related to the kuffar, and even if it was sent down in regard to the incident of the kuffar, we can use this verse in any incident that it fits the meaning. Anyway, Al-Ulama rahimahullah said that the insan, he is the most argumentative creation. Even he argue way more than the angels. Angels don't argue much. Then you have more argumented than, he argue more than the shayateen and the jinn. Some of the ulama said that, and some said no. Ibn Ashur said it is possible for a human to argue more than the jinn. I believe so. I believe human beings argue way more than the jinn. Jinn are so weak compared to humans. And the point is that human beings, they argue a lot, they question a lot. And I think that's because they are the most intellect creations, more than animals, and they speak. So that's why Allah gave them quality, made them have this ability to argue, to question things. And I believe that this description is not negative and not positive. What determines your argumentation, it is positive or negative, it is how you argue and what you argue for, and what stairs lead you to. If that makes sense. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here said, وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لِلنَّاسِ مِنْ كُلِّ مَثَلٍ. Anybody knows another verse very similar to this, sound the same? There is another verse in the Quran almost identical to this, to the beginning part, which is, and indeed we have put forth every kind of example in the Quran for mankind. Anybody knows? In Surah Al-Isra, the surah before Al-Kahf, Allah said in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا لِلنَّاسِ فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ مِنْ كُلِّ مَثَلٍ. Indeed, we have put forth for human being, in this Quran, every illustration. It's exactly the same. The only difference in Surah Al-Isra, he said, for humans, started with human. وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا لِلنَّاسِ. We have put forth for human beings all kind of illustrations in this Quran. So the human came first, Quran came later. But in Surah Al-Kahf, it's the opposite. وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لِلنَّاسِ. We illustrate in the Quran for the human. He put the Quran first, then the human comes next. And ulama rahimahullah said it is for a reason. Because in Surah Al-Isra, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was challenging humans. قُلْ لَوْ اجْتَمَعَتِ الْإِنسُ وَالْجُنُّ عَلَىٰ أَن يَأْتُوا بِمِثْلِ هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ. So Allah was talking to humans, that's why He started with them. And He said, we have, for humans, for you, we have brought all kind of examples. But in Surah Al-Kahf, the surah is talking about the Quran, not the humans. The beginning of the surah is all talking about Al-Quran. That's why He started with the Quran in this verse, even though they are very identical. And that's what Ibn Ashur rahimahullah said, as I have seen, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. For those who cares for the verses that are very similar to each other, but there is maybe one or two differences. Sometimes very unique why this comes first and comes later. And that's one of the things that Ibn Ashur rahimahullah cared for in his tafsir. Anyway, I want to a little bit make a comment on the concept of al-jadal. Al-jadal, or arguing, it's a big subject. And argue even it became a ilm, a science, an art, okay, that people learn, and you take a class in debates. And al-jadal, generally speaking, arguing is something discouraged in Sharia. When you look at the text, the word jadal, argumentation, is not something good. Al-Barbahari rahimahullah said, there is no bid'ah, there is no kufr, there is no hawa, there is no dalala, there is no zandaqa, okay, came except out of argumentation. All caused by argument. So that's number one. Number two, al-jadal, as Ibn Abbas said, any two people start arguing with each other in the religion, they end up claiming things in the religion which is not from it. قال ما افترق إلا كذب على الله. Hamad ibn Zayd, he said that something very similar to that. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, فَنَسُوا حَظًّا مِمَّا ذُكِّرُوا بِهِ فَأَغْرَيْنَا بَيْنَهُمُ الْعَدَاوَةَ وَالْبَغْضَاءَ. We made them enemy to each other. Let's talk about the children of Israel. And this is in Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 14. Ibrahim al-Nakha'i said how Allah turned the children of Israel to fight one another, to hate one another, by making them argue with one another. That's why Sharia mainly talking very negative about argumentation, because it leads to hating each other. And I can tell you there is not a single book almost, especially from our traditional books, that talk about the Islamic creed unless they have a chapter about the prohibition and warning from argumentation. Usul al-Sunnah lil-Lalaka'i has a full chapter about that. Al-Shari'ah lil-Ajurri, Al-Ibanah al-Kubra li-Ibn Battah, جامع بيان العلم وفضله, كتاب البخاري, الفقيه والمتفقه للبغدادي, الأصبهاني في كتاب الحجة في بيان المحجة, سنن الدارمي, and many books of hadith and aqidah talk about that. Let's see the adhan, then we continue.